Hello, everybody. Welcome back to DocTalk. Why am I getting an echo? I actually know why. Hold on a second. There, made it go away. Welcome back to DocTalk, where I DocTalk, and I still have an echo because that's how I roll. I have a guest today, Mike, and I'm going to blame him for the echo right this second. Mike, say hi to everybody. Well, I have an echo.
I don't know. Does that mean that I have an echo? Are there three of me? Two of me? One of me? None of me? I don't even know what's going on anymore.
I can hear your
All I,
echo.
all I know is that I'm here. Hello. Hi, friends.
Hi,
Family.
friends. It's definitely his fault. Sounds like reverb. It's not because I don't have reverb. I just know that.
Did you mute the phone like you said?
I did. It was the first thing I checked.
Mm,
Say hi to Burning Bird friend that I can see her. You know what? Let's just
no, I
transition
see
over
you.
to our screen so we can see you.
Okay.
There's
I can
Mike.
exist. That's
There.
fine. Hello.
You exist.
Hi. Hi. Hi.
Wow.
It makes sense because there's two of me.
There- I don't know what I did. Mike, help me.
I'm not looking at your screen. I don't know how to help you, buddy.
But I don't know what I did. And you're supposed to know what I did. For those that don't know, Mike and I are good friends, so I'm going to blame him for everything because that's how I roll.
I do want to just point out that the last time that we were talking about doing audio stuff and making it work on stream, you literally used the words, I would tell you how, but you're not smart enough to figure it out.
I did not.
What were the exact words?
What were my exact words?
They were, I would show you how, but you're not smart enough to get it. So if you want to send them over to me, I can take care of it for you.
Did I ever say that to you? I figured out what my problem is.
Okay.
Let's see if that works.
Say stuff.
Stuff.
I mean, still a little echoey. Is it a filter on your mic?
No, well, I don't use all those cool, fancy electronic filters you guys do. That's why this is weird.
I only have the one electronic filter, and I only figured it out last week, so I don't know what to tell you. You want to hang up on me and call me back?
I do not.
Okay.
I want to figure this out while we're on stream live, and I'm going to watch people give, hey, why don't you try this?
Well, so far the stream of people helping us out and trying to contribute has been Birdie Bird saying, no, it's still bad. Make it better. Which is, admittedly, I mean, yeah, that's legit.
Okay, she didn't say that. I'm watching. She did not say
I'm
that.
paraphrasing.
You're so mean.
Not at all. Also, it's my fault, and I suppose we could perceive Nerdworks. Yes, I'm the mean one. Cool. Let's make it clear. I am just here to watch you struggle. Yes. Clearly, the intent is there.
As long as you know.
Yeah. If it means anything, you look fantastic.
You look amazing. You really do.
Thanks, buddy.
You're welcome.
I wasn't even fishing for that, but I appreciate it all the same.
No, but you always look amazing, and I'm always jealous.
It's the hat and the color blindness.
God, I love this place.
Phoenix, I believe you. I definitely believe you look better.
Phoenix, yes. But she's always going to win, so
Yeah, right.
there's just that. Let's try that. That didn't work because I can hear me again.
You can hear you, but you sound normal to me.
When I do that, you don't hear it. No.
Now talk.
It's not going to work. I did get a new board, and it is echoey. She said reverb. I don't have reverb. I looked. My board. You know, watch. I'm gonna do it like this.
You made him scooch.
This board doesn't have reverb on it. I can make mic sound really high though. That's kind of interesting.
Like stoned or pitch?
I don't know. Let's try this. Ooh, it makes you go do 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 do.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, we're having little technical difficulties, but you know what? We're going to figure it out together, people. Hello? That didn't work.
Nope. Do you have it set up to where, hold on. More Discord call. You're sharing desktop audio from OBS, right?
I'm monitoring it, which is I'm checking my monitor right now.
Got it.
For those of you that don't know, if you're going to build an analog pod, you have to have this cool thing called a monitor to transfer it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you lose it. There it is. And then you play with that. Let's see what happened. So what does this do? Hi, try again.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
I think I fixed it.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
And I need you.
Do-do-do-do-do-do.
And I want you.
And I hear you once now.
Phoenix says I need you and I miss you.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, hey, welcome back.
That's how you get a compliment from Phoenix. You make it to where she has to complete the song quote, which is positive. Ta-da.
Ta-da.
Hey, buddy.
Hi.
I liked it when there were two of you because there was just more to love, but this is better. I'm not gonna lie.
Are we talking about the weight loss?
Well, that's also been great. Congratulations, by the way.
It's just 70 pounds.
It's just a tween.
It's just there. But anyways, hey, welcome back. We're gonna talk about leveling up in PC Link, which is why I invited my friend Michael here.
Hello.
Actually, and my camera's reversed, so I gotta go like this. Okay. And we are just a large dog. We're gonna talk about leveling up PCs, and we're gonna do something about PC linking. So a lot of campaigns run into this thing where, why is my character even going to follow you? Why are we together?
Right.
So a lot of that is I'm just going to preface this. It's a lot of player interaction. Your player has to yes and another player. Nobody wants to play in a group where one guy's like, well, no. I'm not going to trust that you're right. I'm going to say that, well, you're this, I'm that. Like, Mike, what did you roll up for this?
So I actually rolled up a half-elf paladin.
Paladin.
Because I didn't know the last time that I made a paladin, so here we are.
Perfect. So let's say, most groups with a paladin, let's say we had a rogue in our group. It'd be like, I'm not going to follow the criminal guy because I'm paladin and lawful and blah, 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 blah. Or the rogue would be uncomfortable about lawman being here, blah, 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 blah. You have to give and take. We'll get there. Right now, Mike and I, his paladin, my bard, we've traveled together and we've earned enough XP, or our DM is using Mildstone and said, we have to level up. First thing we got to do First thing we have to do is we have to get our hit points. So it depends on how the DM wants us to do this. We're on this podcast going to do rules as written as close as we possibly can. But I'm going to let you know that rules as written is a guideline. So first off, I was telling Mike about this earlier. We could talk about the DM lazy way of doing it, which is a win-win way of doing it. It's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
It is a win-win. It is where you just let your players get the maximum amount of hit points that they can have that round. So where is that? Well, we look at our screen here for our... I'm going to look at my bard because I don't have your paladin up, which I'm glad I didn't, because already starting with problems just means I would have had more problems.
Nah.
So right here it says
rolling.
hit dice on our sheet. And we notice that this says 1d8. So I know as a bard that I'm 1d8. If I forget that, I can go to the player's handbook 53. Probably have to do that anyways, but we'll just play around here. So I know that I've got a d8. So in the lazy way, I'm going to just 8 and I'm done. Mike, what's your hit dice?
So looking at the player's handbook for a paladin, I have one D10 per paladin level, so I have a D10 for my hit dice.
Perfect. So we know that if we're doing lazy, he's just going to get 10. Call it a day.
Yep. Woo!
Yay.
I did it.
He did it. So that's the lazy way. The cool part about the lazy way is when you're at level 12 and you think somebody's hit points are too low or too high, simple math. What are they playing? Times 12. What's their constitution score? Times 12. Add that together. If it doesn't equal what they have, something was wrong. The second way, there's a bunch of ways to do this. So the way the book says is that you roll that dice. So today, Mike and I are doing our characters are going to make a roll for that. But I also want to talk that there's a million ways to do these rolls. Mike, I don't know if you played with me long enough. Do you remember ever getting a character up when I was DMing and you would roll your hit dice, I would roll your hit dice?
Yes, I do. And
And
it is a rule that I have used several times since.
so what happens in this? Oh, hello, G-Rat.
Hey, what's up, G-Brave?
I like yeah, that's why I love G-Wrath because that's what it sounds like. So in that, Mike would roll a D10 for his paladin, and me and the DM, I would roll a D10. I would cover up my D10. He doesn't need to see what I rolled. At that point in our rule, Mike would decide, is he going to take his roll or is he going to take my roll? And this is where it's kind of fun because it's a little bit of a gamble, because if he rolls less than, I think 6 is the average roll for you, right?
That's what it's got listed.
It's in the player's handbook, which is another way to level, by the way. But if he
just
rolls,
taking the average.
yep, if he rolls like a 5 or a 4, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm less than average. Am I going to roll, quote unquote, roll the dice, pun intended?" He could take my roll, but he doesn't know what it is. But once he makes that decision, he can't go back. So if I rolled a 1, he's getting 1.
It is a gamble, but it's an informed gamble because you kind of have at least some statistical analysis here where it's okay, the average is you can't take the average on 10 or a D8. You can, so they just round up. So 5.5, 6, right? If I roll a 3, well, there's not a whole lot less that, or there's not a whole lot that would be less versus what it could be. And even if it is, if I go from 3 to 1, I can deal with that. If I go from 3 to 10 or 3 to 9, that's fantastic. So it's an there is a little bit of a math that goes with it and game theory, but at the same time, you can do whatever works for you, and that's why the lazy way is usually the best one.
It is fun though. I will admit it is a lot of fun, and you can have a lot of fun with it. That's the cool part about that. The other thing is rolling the dice is the natural way. That's what the book says. Another way to do that, as we mentioned already, is in there next to your hit dice it says average. So as a D8, mine's 5. As a D8, his is 6. The way the rules are written is either I can roll this die or I could take that average, but I have to make a decision before I roll this die.
Correct.
Another way to do it, if you still want them to roll their die and have some fun, is have them roll their hit dice. Like I have a D8, and I know that 5 is the average. If I roll the D8 and I have a 4 as a DM, I let them take the 5. Anything less than a 5, just take the average one. But if you roll higher, then you get extra for it, etc., etc. Like I said, there's a million ways. There's not a right or wrong way. There is a lazy way that really isn't lazy. I like the max hit points just because it's easy to, hey, what level are you again? Seems low. Believe it or not, that happens to me more than not. Is the whoever it is is too low of hit points. It's never like, well, how did you get 100? It's always like, why are you at 60? You're not a wizard.
Right. In 15 sessions when I let you all level up for the first time, that'll give me enough opportunity to figure out exactly how I'm going to do it for you all.
So Mike and I are gonna do our rolls here, and I'm gonna update my sheet.
Yep.
So here we go. I rolled a 3.
I rolled a 1. Ding.
We're awesome. So I got
We
a
are.
3, and I'm going to update my hit points here. Now, I'm going to tell you right now that no matter how you do this, whatever you're going to use, you also add your Constitution modifier. Mine's a 1. I'm going to add 3 to my max, which is 12, plus the 1 is 13. I am now at 13 hit points as a level 2 boy.
I will take my 1, add my 2 hit point, or my 2 for my Constitution modifier, so I will add another 3, and I am a 15 HP paladin.
which cracks me up because as a bard, I have 2 less than you right now.
Yep.
And that's the fun of the game. To be honest, 5e is designed where, I mean, it's really hard for somebody to die. It's not impossible, but it's really hard for characters to die. It doesn't matter what your HP is, honestly, if you're playing a game where everybody agreed that the characters aren't going to die, which is fine. It's one way of playing. But for majority of people, there's always a chance. I, as a DM, am very invested in your character. As Mike will know, I will help. We will get these backgrounds. We will get deep into them. I will make you immerse part of my universe. You making decisions and rolling dice is not going to change my mind if you're going to die or not.
As Phoenix says, it's no fun if there's no risk of getting moited.
Moited. So, I like that.
Yeah, 100%.
But we need to finish going. So
this is just the start.
Yeah, that was it. That was just hit points. I'm going to go to my book. I'm going to open up to 53 in the player's handbook, and I'm going to look at Bard. I'm going to be honest with you. You could read through everything every time you go up. It's not bad. It actually just gets you refreshing everything. But if you're one of those people that need to do it kind of quick because you waited till the last second to level up and you're about to start in like 3 minutes, on 53, I'm going to go a little bit further. I'm going to see this big chart on the top. Every single class has this. It says from 1 to 20, this is what you get. The cool part as a bard is I don't have to do any math for my spells, so we'll get there in a second. But I get 2 things right off the bat looking at this. So first thing, my proficiency doesn't change. Cool. At level 2, I get Jack of all trades and Song of Rest. And we're going to add those to the sheet here. And so the cool part is Jack of all trades is basically
the best skill in the game.
It's kind of cheating. I can add half my proficiency to anything that I'm not proficient with when I roll. I'm spelling proficiency wrong. I'm sure I'm going to get it. And I'm going to put non-skilled skills because that's funny to me. So that means I'm not proficient in acrobatics. I have a dexterity of 2. I have a proficiency of 2, which means that my acrobatics is actually a 3 when I roll it, etc. I could fill these out. And then
Bards are cool, everybody.
What was that?
Bards are cool, everybody.
They are. They really are. I'm going to put my Song of Rest on here, which is during any short rest, anybody who expends hit dice, my bard is going to play a nice little tune during that. It's going to be very mellow and calming, and they're going to get an extra 1d6. Now, it's not 1d6 per hit dice. It's just 1d6 overall. The cool part about this is I can expend my hit dice as much as I want to, and I can roll them one at a time before I decide if I'm going to use another one. Now I can roll that hit dice, roll that d6, and then decide. Also, while we're updating the sheet, we're going to move this hit dice total up to 2. It's very easy in D&D 5e. It is your level. It's not hard. It's very simple. Mikey smiling. Mike, what do you get for Paladin now that I'm all caught up here?
Oh, boy. So I made a mistake. I picked a Paladin because I thought you were going to have to do a lot of work.
I know.
So I get a couple of things. Let's start with fighting style because that's the simple one. So starting at level 2, I get to adopt a fighting style specialty and choose one of the following options. If I get to be a fighter or something else where I get another fighting style, great, I get to do it again. But here's the main point. This is where I'm going to decide what kind of aesthetic as well as mechanic I'm going to be using as a paladin. So I can be slightly more armored with defense. I can do more damage if I'm using one weapon. If I'm using a big weapon, I get to reroll bad damage. Or I can take the one that I want to, which is protection. With this, a creature that I can see, if it attacks a target that's adjacent to me and I've got a shield, I can use my reaction to impose disadvantage on that attack. So I get to be the, helpful Captain America, defend my ally kind of fighter paladin, and that's what I think of when I think of a paladin. So I'm going to start with that.
I like it.
Then we're going to go into spellcasting, because paladins are what are considered a half caster. They don't get the super awesome start with the spells at first level and increase the same way that a bard or a cleric or anybody else does. So they progress with that a little bit slower. But a paladin is a divine caster. So what that means is, Doc, how many spells did you get to take as a bard?
So
Just in
I
general.
get 6 spells.
Right. And those are the ones that you know when you know them all the time, right?
And originally when I started, I only got 4.
Mhm. So divine casters are weird. Well, maybe not weird. Complicated, but not. There's a little bit more work that you have to do on a day-to-day basis, depending on the campaign and the DM. But in the book, the way that it works is, as a second level paladin, I have 2 first level spell slots, and I have access to every first level paladin spell, and I get to pick a certain amount per day that I have prepared. The amount that I get to pick is equal to my level. Sorry, half my level plus my charisma modifier. So right now, I have a charisma of 3. I am a level 2 paladin. Half my level is 1. So I will prepare 4 spells every day, and those will be the spells I can cast throughout the day. We'll get to all that. It's complicated. Put stuff on a sheet. Here's the main point. I'm a paladin. The amount of times that I'm ever going to use those spells is very, very limited because of the last ability I get at level 2 called Divine Smite. Now, Divine Smite is the reason to be a paladin as far as I'm concerned. Everything else is really cool window dressing until you get to higher level. But at second level, when I hit a creature with a weapon attack, I can expend a spell slot to do some radiant damage to the target. With that, the extra damage is 2d8 for a first level spell slot. And then as I go up in levels and I get higher spell slots available to me, I'll add a d8 for each level I use. Also, if it's a fiend or undead, because those are bad, I do an extra 1d8 because paladin, and that's how it works.
So my Burning Bird friend was talking about her paladin that she's going to be playing soon, and she was asking,
Mhm.
is this particular to your oath or all paladins?
So here's the thing. The book says that it is to all paladins. But then if you go and you do enough diving, there is a type of paladin in the Dungeon Master's Guide that is called an Oathbreaker, which is supposed to be a fallen paladin, stuff like that. Um, D&D 5e, one of my favorite things they did is there's not a there's not an alignment requirement to be classes anymore. If the book says fiends, undead, all paladins. But as is, I think, the motto for what you're doing here, the podcast, the stream itself, rule 0, DM's right. If you have a question, ask your DM. If you want to do cool stuff to things that are not undead because you're less worried about undead, cool, etc., etc. Um, but yeah, that's kind of like the written rule, but then there's the rule as intended, and the rule as intended, as far as I'm concerned, is what would be cool. And talk to your DM.
Yeah, but the rules is written to answer the
Mm-hmm.
question on that
Yes.
is everybody gets the smite, the
Mm-hmm.
extra d8 against whatever, and the Oathbreaker Paladin in DMG is a variant, which when you're talking
Yes.
about rules is written, you don't use variants. It's just an extra thing they add. I just wanted to point that out. Your DM can and can't use that kind of stuff depending on what they want to limit themselves doing.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so before we get to spells, so you get all that.
Yeah,
That's
I
cool.
did.
And you got your sheet all updated now.
Yep.
All right. Let's go to spells. So I'm going to do mine first because I know it's easier.
Yep.
And
Sure
again,
is.
I have the power of the voice. I'm going to flip all the way to my spell page. And I can still see the stuff that I got to see, so it's fine. Again, remember, I chose this because of that voice thing. So it's important to me. And I want to RP these. So the first thing I get as a bard is I can switch out one spell that I want to. I am not going to switch them all out. Any of them. I had a good time playing. We went on adventures. It worked out really well with my RP. So here we are. But I get one more spell. And again, remember the rule is I can take any spell within the up to the spell level that I have, and I am not moving at level 2. I don't get a second level at this point. But I know in a couple of our battles we had a hard time hitting some people because level 1. That's just what happened. So now I got this great idea. I want to find something that only has a verbal component, and I want it to be like I whisper, and as I whisper, this magical glitter comes out of my mouth, and then it will magically land on our enemies. They get a save for mechanics, all the other stuff. I'm going to take Fairy Fire.
Nothing makes me happier than the fact that you picked my favorite, like, probably less than level 3 spell in the game.
It's
I
really
love that
cool.
spell so much.
But again, I have an idea what my character wants to be like. I know how I want to RP him. I'm going to actually pick the spells that way. As a min-maxer, I'm going to go, oh, what can I do the most amount of damage? I might pick Fairy Fire because that gives advantage when they miss the spells. This is the thing. And I'm a bard, so I'm supporting my paladin buddy and my rogue buddy in our party. And the best part is I'm done. Bard,
Yeah.
I picked my spell and I'm done. So why don't we update your spells now, Mike?
Yeah, so about that. Now, part of the reason that this is as difficult is because you did most of your work at level 1. I am literally starting from scratch. So I have two first level spell slots that are available to me. And I have 4 spells that I can prepare a day. That means I can do the same spell 2 times. I can diversify, spread them out. I have 4 different spells that I'm allowed to choose from to actually cast. The problem is the list that I am going to be going off of has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 different spells at level 1. When I get to a higher level, the same issue will arise as I will be adding an entire new echelon of spells, but I will still only be able to prepare a certain amount per day. It'll go up bit by bit, but it expands quickly. So like you said, basing it off of what we were planning for our character. I have this idea of this big protection fighter in my head. So I want to think about things that will protect people, things that will make sure people are taken care of. One of the things that I want to do, and it's because it's a spell that I don't see a lot of people cast, even though it's super cool. Say there was a point where my bard friend over here they were surrounded. Well, there's only a couple of ways that I can get rid of some of those threats, or I can at least make some of those threats a little less dangerous to them. One of the ways is a spell called Compelled Duel. So that's a spell that I want to have all the time because I love it. Because basically this paladin gets to say, ha, you, me, let's go. They have to make a save, and if they fail the save, they can't hurt anything unless it's at disadvantage, except for me. But maybe I don't want that another day. Maybe I know we're going to go into a place that has a whole lot of magic and there's traps everywhere. They're magical traps. Well, great. I'll take detect magic that day. It's flexible and you get to change what you're going to do on a day-by-day basis. I recommend for anybody that's making a character that prepares spells, if you don't want to do a ton of work, have a couple that you know are the go-to, and then rotate the rest every once in a while, depending on what you think you're going to be looking at. There's a lot more research into doing a divine caster, unfortunately. Don't even get me started with druids. Holy cow, the amount of options and but technically, I'm done. I have 2 first-level spell slots. I can prepare 4 spells a day, and I decide what those are literally every morning when we wake up.
Phoenix said, it's a magic pleurodon, Charlie.
I mean, yeah.
So we have our characters leveled up. But, I mean, in our first adventure, all we did was help defend a town. We were put together in need. So the second half of this is we're going to talk about why do our characters stay together.
Sure.
So, again, I'm saying there's a rogue in the party. We're going to include him, but let's just talk about Mike and I. Mike, Why would our characters stay together? I'm a bard. I've got this whisper power. All I'm trying to do is get through the world without really agitating people.
Sure.
But you're on a
Well, I'll
mission.
tell you, I am on a mission. Part of that mission is, again, I'm my paladin. I've named her Liliana. She is very big on defending the weak. She is very big on taking care of those who couldn't take care of themselves. And part of that is when this town that she was going through on route to a bigger mission, on a bigger pilgrimage that she's going through. Unfortunately, there was a threat that needed to be protected against. So I wrote Liliana rose to action. Something that was really satisfying to see was your bard also doing the same. Now, whether it's out of reluctance or whether it was out of self-preservation or whatever it was, I saw you defending people that couldn't defend themselves. So, of course, I have a motivation to keep somebody with me, to travel with somebody that would have good intent. So that's at least the starting motivation.
And we can add into I'm trying to keep this a secret because I don't want people to know about this power. And we've traveled and we got back to this town after we defeated everything and the paladin was like, yeah, you're all free now and we'll do your little holy thing for the people that did die. And he doesn't say anything. We have a connection now. And he gives me purpose because he talks to me about this. Cool. I'm all for that. I'm going to yes and Mike and his ideas. He's going to yes and me. We're not going to yes, but I never understood that one. But my yes and could be yes and also is what I'm going to say. Because I like his idea, or if we think of something else. We decide that the rogue isn't such a bad guy. He might be a criminal. You might be the lawman, but like he's got a heart of gold. He's got, and we're going to have a talk. In game, in our game especially, you'll see this because we, the players, are talking right now about why we would even stay together. And it's come up. And we even talked about like, well, if we can't decide, then we'll have to go our separate ways. When you're telling a story together, that's not the result you want. It is not unless you want your character to leave. It is absolutely never the right answer at the end. But it's fun to be like, well, maybe we'll have to go our separate ways. And then like, well, maybe we do need this guy or girl or them. And we have this conversation. We as players are going to talk about this offline. Why are we staying together? Like, let's get this together. But in game, our characters don't know what the players talk about. So we got to play that out to make sure it's there and document it and make it part of the dogma of that. If you're not yes-anding and you don't have a reason to stay together, you might be a toxic player and not even meaning to be. I want you to be careful on that. It is okay to ask why would we even be together? It's a valid question from player to player. It's fine to put it together in the story through role play, but don't make somebody feel like they're not welcome at the table because, oh, my character has a problem with your character kind of thing. And it's okay to have conflict and still travel together. You could still be using the other person in your mind or befriending the person because you want to keep your, what is it? Keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. Do you have something to add to that?
Yeah, you touched on it. Conflict. Conflict is not a bad thing in story. In fact, it is a key element. It is okay, and this is also part of the, your character and your players are two separate entities. You can absolutely make a character that is just based off you, but keep in mind that it's a separate entity. So if a character and a player, if a player sees another player's actions and it's, I don't vibe with that, you can make it a source of conflict. Because the other part of, if you ask the question, why are we even together? Like, why are we hanging out? And you don't want a yes and, you want a yeah but, or you want to no. The other part that could be toxic is if you don't say anything, that's just as bad. because now there's no opportunity to resolve anything, both in game and out. So whenever you're talking about conflict, there is the story driving element, and then there is the needs to be resolved element. And wherever you are on that barometer is totally okay. Just make sure that that's kept in mind at the table and being respectful of each other whenever you possibly can. Because you're all building the story together. If the story needs to change a little bit, if you're thinking of one story and somebody else is thinking of another, that's also okay. You're just on different chapters. Make sure that you're in the same book, though.
And Phoenix said it the best. You know, if you're doing that, you're not contributing. So make sure that you're contributing.
Yeah.
It's simple.
Otherwise, go play Warhammer. There's lots of games if you want to just tactics move the things around the board, and that's nothing. That's not a dig against Warhammer. That game's fun, but we're doing something a little bit different here.
And it's fine to find a group that only does the XP beat up the monsters, or find something that's more into your thing. It's fine. Yep, you talk about stuff. Phoenix was talking about how to resolve conflict, and I was going to bring that up. Sometimes players have conflicts, and then they move that over to their characters. I would 100% tell you not to do that. Mm-hmm. Do not force don't project your feelings onto your characters. And don't let your characters project their feelings onto you, which a lot of role players, like when you really get deep into it, you can do that. I've seen it. Mm-hmm. Don't create a problem with somebody because of something they decided to do in game. If you have an issue, talk to them outside the game. If your DM is asking you things like, are you sure you would know something about that? What the DM saying is, I don't think you would. Unless I missed something in your 40-page backstory that you sent me, I don't think you do. And just remember, they're not trying to limit you. They're trying to make the table even so everybody has fun. Nobody, like I said last time on Doc's Talk, when you have one guy who's like the Superman, nobody else is having fun because their characters aren't participating in the story. They don't need you there. You are officially, what is it? Not the Last Crusade, but in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. The movie is the same whether Indiana Jones is in it or not. Mm-hmm. Kind of theory. Like the stuff's gonna happen. The whole movie's gonna happen, and we don't want you to do that. We want to be everybody's involved. Everybody plays a part. No DM wants to watch one guy. We don't mind people taking the reins. I've invited Mike to my games. He's invited me to his games because we know we can move a story. If the story is stalled, we'll just invite each other. Bring a character in, help me move this along a little bit. There's nothing wrong with that, but you don't want to become the focus. You don't want to be the reason. Everybody is the reason. Everybody has a story to tell, and make sure everybody's story is being heard.
You talked about Indiana Jones. The movie is still the movie without Indiana Jones in it. The counterpoint. Star Wars is a very, very vast, and it's a vast, empire. And Doc's being silly because there was a conversation earlier today that was very fun. Here's the thing. Unless it's agreed upon, don't all try and be Luke Skywalker. Because if you try and make yourself the key element of the story in a collaborative storytelling game, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to steamroll everybody, whether you mean to or not. You're going to steamroll everybody. Or the other part is everybody is going to get really, really annoyed. Because, well, why, like you said, why are we even traveling with you? Is it just to further your story? Because if that's the case, they might not be up for that. So it is collaboration, the entire thing. Whenever they talk about what is D&D, the first thing that I explain it as is that it is a collaborative storytelling, and then I fill in all the rest of the blanks that you can say with D&D.
I love it.
When you talk about it, yeah, that's how it works.
I love it.
It's like we're friends or something.
It's like we know each other. It's not like Mike's ever been to my house playing D&D before. Yay. I'm just waiting to see if there's any more questions because we got a couple more little bit. I'm scrolling back.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix
I
thinks
held that
we're
longer than
dorks.
I was ready for.
Yeah, so that's it. And it's okay. I'll tell you right now, just every couple of levels, evaluate why your PCs are still together.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't have a reason, I'm not saying to do that to find out if your characters are going to split ways, unless you're trying to. I'm telling you to do that so that you still have a passion. You know, it's a group of people that are going through. You have to have a reason to want the other person to live as well. And that's character to character, not person to person. I want Mike to live because he's my friend, not because we're traveling around or anything. Yeah. In fact, he's moved away from me more than anybody else in my life has, and caused
I
me
moved closer again.
little
Like,
anxiety. You did, and I'm very happy.
in relative movements. The other part of that, where you're talking about like, man, I don't like Doc. You're a DM. I'm a player in your campaign, and I'm struggling. I'm a yes-ander. I want to find a reason for my character to be involved with this group that I'm currently playing with. But the connection and the reasoning just isn't there for me for whatever reason. Before I do anything, I should talk to you. Because whether you have Dungeons Master Guide will call and all of the actual campaign books, they'll call them plot hooks. But whether you've got one of those in the waiting, whether you've got I know I'm sorry, I brought up something that's right next to you. I apologize. That was really rude of me. Um, that's all right. It just means even though I'm gonna knock over several books here, because mine is right here and available, it just means that I'm a better DM than you. That's how that works, right? First of all, that's not true because having access to the books means nothing. Is this how we're ending the just get into a book holding competition?
No, please don't, because the rest of them are on my shelf, and I don't think I can lift all the D&D books.
No, absolutely. You shouldn't do that.
I do
Hi,
have my
Joyce. How are
TUI
you
book
doing?
out, though. Does that work? Oh, hi, Joyce. Welcome to the stream. We're almost done.
But yeah, the DM is if you have a DM that is a very very structured world and everything is going to a T. Some people will call that railroading. Some people call it prepare. I whatever. The point is if you don't have a reason to be there as a character, and your DM knows that there will be one, they can tell you. If the DM doesn't know that there will be one, maybe they agree and it's okay, maybe we're looking into a different character for you then. Or they could have a whole wide open story and they can absolutely tie something in. I had a player that came to me after about 15 sessions of a campaign that was just distraught, not knowing what they wanted to do or be there anymore. And in my head, I'm thinking about the 6 pages of material that I have written from their backstory that's going to come into effect in literally the next 2 hours. Give it some time, give it some patience, and if you're before you get to the end of your rope, just ask. Worst case scenario, make another character. We'll figure it out. It's storytelling.
We're going to have to change this to DM talk and have you come in. But anyways,
I'm done. Sorry.
no, because it's
Too
good
much
stuff.
DM hat, not character hat.
No, I love it. You know what? It's funny because I talk about the different players at the table.
Mhm.
And a lot of people worry when DMs become players because, to be fair, a lot of them can't be players really well.
Mm-hmm.
We know one. He's actually told
Mm-hmm.
both of us he can't do it.
To his credit, he figured it out that he can.
He did. the The thing is like I know I want to invite Mike to my table because I know that him and I are similar. That just because I'm a DM at my table, I'm not a DM at your table. And I can't tell you how many times that we have both said, "No, you're a DM at my table. You're just undercover DM."
Mm-hmm.
And shoot me messages.
I need you to co-manage for me.
Yeah.
You're assistant to the assistant. That's kind of that thing.
I'm the assistant manager. No, you're not. You're the assistant to the manager.
Right.
But we've done that. I've done the Gods Must Be Crazy with Tom before and a couple other ways, but we're going to end it on that. I just want you guys to remember that this game is about working together, being together, playing a game together, writing a story together, being epic together. It doesn't change anything. Keep your tables simple, love one another, keep it nerdy, and live your dreams. You want to say later?
I was gonna say, do I get to do it?
Do it.
Later.
Nice.